to the BBC News at 1. Its first branch opened in Gloucester in 1896, but today, more than a century later, the end of one of the most familiar names on the high street has been confirmed. All branches of Cheltenham and Gloucester are being closed by its parent company, Lloyds Banking Group. Almost 1,700 jobs will be lost at C&G and across Lloyds, with unions warning there may be more job losses to come. Our chief economics correspondent Hugh Pym reports.
Mind having a quick word?
Staff at Cheltenham and Gloucester branches were in the dark this morning about the impending closures, the news emerging before a formal announcement to staff. That and the fact that the parent company Lloyds is part owned by the government drew a hostile reaction from unions representing bank staff.
What kind of a world are we living in where, despite government money, these people can continue to run the banks and make presumably even more profits by getting shut and using the present economic circumstances to justify getting shut of thousands of workers?
The C&G brand won't be axed. Its products will still be sold online and through brokers. But all 160 branches will be closed. In total, nearly 1,700 jobs at the Lloyds Banking Group will be lost as a result of today's announcement. And those will follow about 3,000 job losses already this year at Lloyds. Taking tough commercial decisions like closing C&G branches might in the long run be in the interest of taxpayers. If Lloyds becomes more efficient and gets back to sustainable profitability, it'll be easier for the government to sell its shares and recoup the money it invested. When Lloyds finds it has branches close by like these two, the logic is to save money by closing one of them.
Lloyds is having to shrink simply because they're too big for the amount of business that's currently available. They were the perfect size for 5 years ago, but we're doing less with banks. We're using less financial services for obvious reasons. So they don't need to have as much capacity as it did before.
Sometimes the simplest way to get things done is to strip down to the bare essentials.
Cheltenham and Gloucester is certainly being stripped down to its bare essentials, but the producers of this TV advert wouldn't have envisaged it would be stripped of its branch network. It's another sign of the changing face of high street banking. Hugh Pym, BBC News.
Well, Hugh's here now. It's an awful lot of jobs. I mean, since the beginning of the year, we're talking about nearly 5,000 jobs now, aren't we? I mean, could there be more to go as well?
Yes, I think it seems almost certain, Sophie, there will be more across the group in the next months ahead. Let's look back to what happened last autumn. It's when Lloyds took over HBOS, which was in real trouble at the time. But the idea was it would create this new banking giant that would dominate the high street. But there would have to be rationalisation. When you put two big groups together like that, Halifax and Bank of Scotland branches with Lloyds and Cheltenham and Gloucester, all these brands together, inevitably there were going to be closures. There were warnings of job losses then. So this Cheltenham and Gloucester announcement is part of all that. We should just emphasise they're keeping the brand online, they're closing the branches, and the jobs will go. And there will be more rationalisation in the months ahead. And you've got this conundrum here. Yes, the government is supporting Lloyds. It owns nearly 50% of the shares, and the unions feel angry about that government money going in there and jobs going. But the interest of the taxpayer is to try and get the money back, and that Lloyds does make a profit. And if it becomes more efficient and makes cutbacks, then that's possibly in the long run interest of the taxpayer. But the high street is changing when it comes to banking. Just the other week, we had Santander announcing that it was going to get rid of Abbey, Bradford and Bingley and Alliance and Leicester names. We're going to end up with fewer, larger banks with fewer branches.
Hugh Pym, thank you very much. A 39-year-old woman who works in a nursery in Plymouth is being questioned by police over the alleged distribution of